even when it looks bad from the top of putts, but you know it's going to be bad.
When it looks good from the top of putts, but you know it's going to be bad.
Yeah, I know, exactly, yeah. My wife, every time I come home, every time, I'm like, oh, she's like, where did you go? Putts, why did you go there? Every time you go there, you have a bad...
Hello and welcome to the UK Surf Show. We are your hosts. I'm Pete.
And I'm Leighton. On this episode, we speak to Scott from Big Guy Boards.
Yeah, Scott is a big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's, really nice chap. Came on and the conversation didn't go where I thought it was going to go, like why he made the Big Guy Boards and where it's going. It went in a totally different direction.
Well, yeah, because, you instantly think Big Guy Boards, he's making boards for bigger guys. But so he's kind of focusing on this market that is being forgotten about in the surfing industry, which are bigger and heavier people on surfboards. So, yeah. And he's one of those guys, and he didn't want to just surf longboards all the time. So he's kind of helped design shorter boards with more volume for heavier people. But what he did say, which is, I think this is what he meant, like, it's really interesting that he also mentions that it's not just for heavier people, it's also for people with an injury or for maybe older surfers that don't have the paddle strength that they used to.
Yeah. And
these boards will aid them to get into the waves.
Yeah. So, really interesting guy, really interesting conversation, a lot to say. Before we get into this, sponsor for today's show is North Core. Head over there and use the discount code UK Surf Show 2022, and that will get you 15% off anything you order from North Core. You can head to our website and click on the banner at the top of the page for this post, and that'll take you straight there. Use that discount code, you'll get 15% off anything you order.
Cool. Let's jump into it, Scott.
All right. Hello. I'm Scott Davis. I'm the founder and I run Big Guy Boards. So our whole mission really is to make surfing more inclusive, and I've got a kind of specific niche area that I focus on just to try and make surfing more inclusive and accessible for people. And there's kind of a few different branches to what we do.
Cool. So it's the niche area then is looking at just bigger people then to get into surfing.
Yeah, so that's how it all started. But from there, it's developed on into kind of a wider group of people. So I can start from the beginning. So I've always been quite stocky built. My dad played rugby, and he's a big guy, and I'm kind of similar size to him. So I started surfing with my dad. He kind of taught me to surf when I was really young. We'd come down on holiday to North Devon from London, and I started on longboards. And part of the reason for that being, I was probably, as a teenager, I was probably already 14, 15 stone, but kind of not unfit, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I started on longboards for quite a long time, and then trying to make the transition down to shorter boards, I found it really difficult. I tried when I was kind of going to that intermediate stage and just what was out there. I think I was similar age to you guys-ish, I'm guessing. This was around the 90s when it was more fashionable to have the kind of toothpick boards.
Yeah.
So anything I'd go and look at on the rack was tiny, and I tried it out and it just completely halted my learning curve. So I stayed on longboards for years.
Yeah.
And then I started to look into it a bit more and kind of do a bit more research and speak to more people and start trying different things and trying shapers and all kinds of stuff like that. And I started to slowly learn that there is stuff out there for heavier surfers, people that need more volume, but it was just really difficult to find the right equipment at the time. It still kind of is now. It's getting better now. So that then kind of made me start a YouTube channel eventually, because I thought, right, that's where this all started really. And I thought I want to try and start sharing my experience and getting it out there and making it more accessible to other people. I just want to share because I found it so hard to find stuff. I wanted to share it with other people.
Yeah. Well, that's great that you carried on, isn't it? Because a lot of people would stop at that point, like they're getting into a new sport or activity, and a lot of people think, well, I just can't do this. I'm too big or whatever to be able to surf.
There's nothing like breaks the spirit quite as much as sitting on a shortboard and the only thing you can see is the bottom of the ocean. It's just sunk.
That's it. It's just so disheartening, isn't it? But I'm so passionate always have been so passionate about it. And when I was before I moved here, I was coming back and forward with my family, and I just, you guys know, once you get the bug, you've got it, and you're completely hooked. So I kept at it, and I was on the longboard, and I was really enjoying it. And there's nothing wrong with longboarding at all. I still do it and still love it, but I didn't want to feel like it was the only thing I could do. I wanted to be able to at least have a go at shortboarding to know whether I liked it or not.
Yeah.
So, and then even moving down here and surfing more full time instead of kind of only doing it, every few months when I'd visit, I'd start to get more experience in the water. I thought, well, I'm definitely good enough to do this now, but so it just took a while to get on the.
So have you noticed like the demand then for larger volume boards? Like have you, since starting the website, like what's the demand been like?
Yeah, so I started the YouTube channel around the same time that I know. So to give a bit more on the YouTube channel, just briefly, initially it was more not high performance, but short boards or surfboards for people that can surf, are capable, but need more volume. So I'm talking around the 40 litres range, basically. Mm-hmm. And at the time, like I say, I found it really difficult to find anything at all. And just as I started the YouTube channel, was around the time, so Lost did a kind of dedicated high volume shortboard. Mm-hmm. And then I think a couple of the other big brands just started to follow suit after that. I think JS did.
Was that the one? Was that like the honeycomb type board?
No, he did one. Basically, Matt Barlas, the guy who shapes for Lost, he's a similar size to me. He's quite a stocky fella. So instead of just a big problem with riding shortboards that you're trying to blow up, is they usually just get inflated from a stock surfboard and they end up, either really long or they just don't work basically. Because he did one where he shaped one from the ground up for himself from scratch, and then started selling that as a board for heavier people or people that just getting on a bit and don't have as much paddle fitness. And that was the Lost L Patron.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah.
And then a couple of other guys did that as well. A couple of other shapers started to. So around the time I started was just as this trend just started to slowly take off with the big manufacturers.
Yeah. So what would it's a bit of a kind of an area you have to be careful in as well, because you don't want to call anybody like too big, do anything like that. But what in terms of weight, like in kilos or whatever, like what would you say would be somebody who would benefit from like a higher volume board? Have you got, is there like a range?
So I would say, I think more depending on what sort of board you're riding as well. It's you've got to factor your ability in as well as. So I'm thinking more literage. So it's really difficult, I found, and still do find, if you're looking for any type of board that isn't a longboard, even going down to mini miles and mid lengths now, around the mid 40s to 50 litre range is usually where they're capped, and shortboards usually capped smaller than that. And if you're, so I'm now around 110 kilos, maybe 115 actually. So there's no way, even if I was expert standard, I'd be riding a 40 litre sub.
So it doesn't matter like how good your ability is, just the kind of physics mean that you can't ride that smaller litre board.
Well, I'm not sure if it's the physics. I think it's the manufacturers don't generally sell boards above a certain literage, a certain type of board. Mm-hmm. And what's the reason for that? Is it because a smaller proportion of the population are in that weight range that are capable to ride those type of boards, so they don't churn them out or kind of sell them? But even if you go on I'm not sure if you've seen the thing where you can customize the boards as well.
Right, yeah.
On some websites, even sometimes they're capped as well.
Yeah, so they're just selling towards the majority.
Yeah, if you think about the average shortboarder, I'd say is between 5'5" and 6 foot. That sort of size, and they're all the ones you notice that are like good out there. They're all that similar sort of size and build. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a sort of, you don't want to stereotype people, but like for shortboarders that you'd see normally, there is a stereotype size and height, and they all the ones I've seen seem to be of a similar sort of level. As not like pro surfer, but very good out there. You take.
But you get
notice
that in climbing as well. Like people are more physically prone to do well at that sport just because of their genetics, and they're just lucky enough to have found the sport that they're genetically suited to.
But then you do see guys on the tour now. So there's guys like Wade Carmichael, Geordie Smith, who's kind of put a lot of work into dropping weight and getting really trim, but he's 6'3" or something, and he used to be a bit more chunky. And like there's guys like Oki as well. I've got a similar body shape to Oki, like short, stumpy legs and kind of slightly white. So there are surfers, and William Cardoso as well. So there are guys on tour, like at the elite level, who are that kind of size and
performing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So when you have extra literage in your board, then how does that affect the performance when you're out there surfing?
Yeah. So the trouble I've had this with. I've gone to really good shapers who have either, when I've gone for a custom, have tried to either talk me out of getting a custom shortboard because it's such a difficult thing to do at that high level of literage. I've been to one really good one that actually did one for me, really, really meticulous. I've had awesome boards off this guy as well, but this one just didn't work because it was more of a performance-y shortboard, and that's I think it's such a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
And what often happens, I've kind of mentioned it just a second ago, but what often happens is you have your stock shortboard that can be blown up to a certain, percentage, a certain amount. You can blow it up and it will start to still work, but you get to a certain point and it just becomes a completely different board.
Right.
And I think there's a number of reasons for that. It just often it's too long and it won't fit in the pocket of the wave. Or there's other things as well, like the rail just completely changes to how the rail is supposed to be designed. I think the only way you can do it really well is design the board from the ground up.
Right. And you've done that as well, haven't you? On your is there one for sale on your website?
Yeah, so I worked with a guy, Louis Sharon, who's now at Atlas Surfboards, and we worked together. Again, he's a similar size to me, and we did it. We did one from the ground up. I kind of explained what sort of boards I ride and what I like, and he kind of did a dedicated shortboard, which was almost kind of a signature board for me. So yeah, we kind of worked on that before, and yeah, it's just there's all kind of things you've got to look at with the rocker and like I said, the rails, and even subtle things like the concaves on the bottom, and the template changes as you try and just blow a stock one up. So doing one from the ground up is the way to go, I think.
And is that the one called the Mr. Motivator?
No, so this is slightly different. So I've started my own brand, which is called Goliath. And initially that was looking at surfboard fins.
Right.
And the problem I found with fins was they go up in different sizes. So you've got, small, and it gives a weight range up to however many kilos. Medium goes up to whatever, 75, I think. And then the large, or the largest ones you can get in either FCS or Futures previously, they'd go from, say, 75, 80 kilos, and they wouldn't give an upper weight range, but they're kind of, because they went up in, equal
stages,
you could tell that this one was capped at around 95, maybe 100 kilos.
Right.
So I'm 110 kilos, and I didn't realize until I started kind of experimenting with these bigger fins how much difference it made. And I think it shows this same pattern within the industry of, there's just this forgotten sector of surfers that just kind of, just the products aren't really out there for them. And I've been, I've just, the discussion we just had, I've just been focused on shortboarding, but the more I've done this and the more people I speak to, I'm speaking to beginner surfers who they just have an absolute nightmare, and there's hardly, any boards out there really, or any equipment you might say to help beginner surfers that need more volume. And I've kind of focused on weight, but there's also, like, if you're carrying an injury, for example, you're going to need loads more float to help you out. If you're getting on a bit and you just don't have the flexibility and paddle strength that you might have had 15, 20 years ago or more. So there's this whole big kind of area within the market, which I think it'd be really good to, I'm trying to really focus more on and kind of draw more attention to it and just try and help as much as I can, really.
Yeah, because I know, like you're saying about fins, and like fins are such a major thing anyway, where having a conversation with someone recently, and I know a lot of like the pro surfers and shapers will actually buy an off the rack fin and then spend loads of time like sanding it and shaping it and, making this fin different to how it comes anyway. You know, so it's a massive, as you say, a massive deal. And with the weight restrictions, you know, you're sort of at that place of where can you go apart from making your own fins, basically.
Well, it's interesting. The thing that started me off on the journey with the fins was I noticed a lot of people were using twin fins, which are much bigger, but they'd use them as a thruster setup. So they use the twins and have a regular trailer. Yeah. And that they were found that was working. And this is, again, people that are slightly heavier. You just, the further up the weight bracket you go, the bigger fin you need. And this was working for people, and I tried it out. So I thought, well, I'm just going to start developing my own bigger fin. And the difference was just unreal. And anyone who's experimented with the bigger twins will say the same thing. It stops you sliding out. And I didn't realise I was really nursing turns and I wasn't able to lean into turns. But I was so used to it. As soon as I got on these bigger fins, it just, the hold and the drive as well, it just completely transformed it. And I think a lot of heavier surfers, for example, are in a similar position where they're just using equipment that they're just having to make do with. When I was learning to surf, it really slowed my, the level of progress I'm making was really slowed down because I was always on shortboards that were too small for me, and it just made such. And this was just before the kind of time of the advent of volume and when people had a big understanding of that. So basically, I'd go to a surf shop or a shape, and I'd go, "Well, you probably need something around this size," and not kind of giving as much thought on weight perhaps as there is now.
Yeah. So going back to the board that we mentioned a couple of times, the Mr. Motivator. I was listening to one of your or watching one of your videos on it, and so we're longboarders, but the way you described the board and how it felt, and like you coming from longboarding, and because I'm like 6'3" and I think I'm 92 kilos or something like that. Do you know what you are in kilos? But you're the same height as me, aren't you? Like 6'3".
I don't even know what I am in stone.
So we're like kind of bigger guys as well. Yeah. It made me feel like I could surf that board. So I'd absolutely love to try that at some point, because I think, like you said, because we've always longboarded, we haven't really tried shortboarding. I think you have a little bit. Yeah,
like my 7.6 I've got, but then again, it's a torque board and it's quite white. I can't remember what the volume is because I sprayed over it, so I can't even remember what it is. But yeah, it's got quite a lot of volume to it, But then it's got that same thing where it's quite thick when you feel it, like you were saying earlier with the volume, and the board starts to go thicker, and it's that sort of thing.
But it's not just all about the volume, is it? Because when you said about on your video, it says about like the tail is wider as well. So the whole thing, it's not just the volume, is it? Like the whole.
That's the thing. It's the whole design, and it's the whole design of the board, and like with that board specifically. So I was developing that board. That's kind of coming under the Goliath brand as well, and I've developed that. It started off as two things. Number one, heavier surfers find it difficult to surf smaller waves. So if you compare a 80 kilo person to a 100 kilo person on the same kind of waist high wave, for example, the wave's going to have enough power to give that lighter person enough push, but the 100 kilo person plus whatever is the waves, the amount of energy in that wave, the limited amount of energy won't be enough to get that person going. So you have your weight, the size of waves that you're limited by on size going downward in the scale. So the heavier you are, the bigger wave you need to give you that energy,
which is then terrifying as a beginner, isn't it? You know, going out and
exactly.
Even now, you go out on a big day at somewhere like Puts or something like that, and it's bloody petrifying.
Even an intermediate surfer though. So that board is that the one we were talking about, the Mr. Motivator. Is that aimed at like an intermediate, larger surfer then?
So there was two things I was doing with it. So the first was to help me out in smaller waves, and I've called it the Mr. Motivator. It was to motivate me to get in the water when the waves are small, basically. Yeah. And I love longboards, and I still ride longboards now. But sometimes I don't have one in my car, and I just can't be bothered to go back, get a longboard. Yeah. But if I've got that in my car, I'm going to be straight in the water. I'm going to be frothing. I'm going to be like, it's going to be loads of fun. And so that was part of that board. And then also in tandem with that, I was working on something else where I wanted to get more of a transition board for someone who needs more volume, whether that's the injury, age, anything, weight. I wanted it to make it easier, because I've been there myself, to transition from a longboard, mini mow, whatever, down to something smaller. So it quickly became apparent that both boards are doing a similar job. So that just they kind of turned into that one thing. And you're talking about the tail. There are, with any features on a surfboard, certain, if you go to certain extremes, they're going to give you lots of benefits in one area, but they're going to hold you back in other areas. So the wider tail, one of the main things that's going to do, it's not going to allow you to kind of do as vertical turns or as bigger turns. You'll still be able to kind of clip the lip with it and things, but it's not going to give you that high performance surfing that you want. But if you're surfing tiny waves, when I'm surfing tiny waves, I'm just racing down the line and clipping the lip. I'm not doing big turns or anything. And someone who's transitioning from a bigger board and just trying to learn how to surf on short boards, the same thing. So you want all the benefits of the wide tail, and you don't really need to worry about, getting that higher performance. So that was part of the thinking with that. It's got a really flat rocker and a really wide nose, again, just to help getting into waves and speed. And it's got a really parallel outline. So yeah, it's just to make it as easy as possible without any frills, basically.
Do you have to wear the hypercolour spandex when you're riding the Mr. Motivator?
Yeah. And a bandana. I need to get a bandana as well. I should sell one with the board, shouldn't I?
Yeah, it's got to come free. Yeah. There's another board on your website I saw, which is the weirdest looking thing I've seen.
Oh, the unicorn.
The unicorn, yeah.
Oh man, that's such a good board.
So what would that be aimed for? Like what type of person or waves or whatever?
Yeah, so that's from Australia. Those boards were imported from Australia. Steve Han, ETC surfboards, and he's taken certain parts of different board designs and just bunged them all together. And obviously, it's taken him a while to develop the board as well. But it's got really unusual. It's got like chimed rails on the bottom and a really deep single to double, and it's got. I'm just describing it for anyone who hasn't seen it. It's got a kind of S curve in the rails, almost like snowboard shaped. And it performs. It's just a nuts board. It performs like a shortboard, but it's got a really easy paddleability, and it packs in heaps of volume as well, which is what really kind of drew me to it. And I saw how much positive feedback Steve was getting, and I just wanted to try one, and it just blew me away. But that board it wouldn't suit a beginner, but anyone around the intermediate level upwards, even to more advanced, it does it all really. And it's really good because it's super fast down the line, but you can also really throw it around, and it feels bigger than the volume would say, because it's epoxy, and just because of the template of the board and things, and it's got like a slightly stepped deck, and so a few of the different characteristics of the board just make it feel probably 5 litres at least more volume than it is.
Yeah.
So
it's a really weird looking thing, really strange looking thing.
It's super fun. It's so much fun.
It doesn't look like it should work, but it obviously does.
So what's the feedback been like from people that have tried the boards like that you've been putting out there?
Really good. So our big seller at the moment, or has been since we started, was the fins, and they go internationally. So our biggest market for the fins is America and Australia, but they go all over the world with the fins, and so they've been massively popular, the boards as well. So a really big seller at the moment is I do a kind of soft top, but again a beefed up one, again for whether you've got an injury and you're learning to surf, or a lot of people were coming to me saying that we're learning, and for whatever reason they need more volume, and they're asking for advice either on the forum or directly messaging me, and I started to realise quite quickly that there's not very much out there for beginners. So I developed that, and that's like 100 odd litre longboard and soft top, and that's been really popular as well. And the feedback I'm getting is just mind blowing. I'm amazed at how much difference it's making to people surfing.
Yeah. It could be the difference between them taking up the sport and not, couldn't it, really? If they have a bad experience on their first few lessons, then a lot of people would just go, oh, this is just not for me.
That's it. And that's what it's all about for me. It's just...
Is that the longboard that you're talking about? Is it the Goliath?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was looking into that as well, because it looks like the type of board that every surfer should have in their quiver anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for the days when there's just not much power at all, or, you know, messing around with your kids and all that, you know, and it just looks like a really decent board. It looks strong as well.
Looks
like,
stable.
Yeah, because on some of the videos I was watching, you were saying that some of the foam boards that you maybe rent out, if you're like a heavier guy or girl, you could the board will actually flex and could limit how the board kind of performs, but the Goliath will kind of stay rigid.
I've noticed that at the boards at the boards at the Wave, which are the rental ones, obviously, because like you say, because we're bigger.
Yeah,
where it's like going like if you use one of their boards there, sometimes it's a bit like going on a toothpick. You know, they're so narrow and thin. They feel,
but it's
compared
like they flex in the water, and so when you're stood on it, it'll kind of, you're almost making it have more rocker.
Yeah, that's it. And my kids, I've got two young kids, 5 and 3, and they are just trying to get them in the water in the summer. So we got them a little foamy, just a little kind of one of the cheaper ones. But that's what kind of was the light bulb moment. After speaking to a lot of beginners, I got on that, and yeah, I'm like, I think I said I'm 110, 115 kilos, something like that. I'm heavy in stone, between 17 and 18 stone, depending on what time of year it is and stuff. But I got on that, and it just completely bowed in the middle, and it was quite a sight. And what that does, and I'm there flapping around trying to catch a wave, trying to show my kids how it's done, looking like a white clown. But what that does, as you're lying on the board like that, it's making that banana shape, and you're not gliding along the surface of the wave. You're almost sunk down with the front of the board up vertical, just
it's more like
trying
to
push through the water.
Yeah.
And that's a combination of things. It's the construction of the cheaper made boards. So the one I do has got triple stringer, and it's got 6-ounce glass and 4-ounce glass as well. One on the deck, one on the bottom, and a combination of the volume, the thickness of the foam, and the construction just makes it stiffer, which you need as a heavier surfer. And like you guys touched on there, it is something that you can have in your quiver. So since I've been testing it and using the kind of final one now, it's just great for taking down the beach in the summer. Whenever we have a beach day with the kids, go down the beach, I've got that in the car, and I can just get the kids on it in the shallows, or I can just go for a paddle and have fun at myself.
So what sort of price would one of those come in at? You know, I'm trying to like look at sort of shit beginner boards that you get out there to this.
So this is around 430, I think it is.
Oh, really?
And,
that's bloody good.
That's not too bad. I know, because a lot of people see like a beginner surfboard and they go, "Oh, I'm going to spend £100," and literally, like you're just saying, the thing's going to be a piece of shit, and you're going to get on it. It's going to bow. It's going to.
I mean, it might be fine for somebody who's lighter or kids or whatever, but if you're, you know, want to get into surfing, like you said, if you've got an injury or whatever and you want to get into
or
it,
like you're a bigger guy,
that's not a lot of money really.
The ones with there's other boards you can get with that construction that are, I think, 600-700 £. Similar construction. So I'm just, like I say, making it more accessible. Part of the thing is, and part of the Goliath brand, I'm trying to, because I'm cutting out the middleman. I'm just selling them myself exclusively at the moment. I'm just trying to make it more affordable as well, to just try and it's just about getting more people in the water, basically.
Because like the surfboard market is nuts. Like I was reading something the other day about people selling second-hand boards now, and they want as much money as they paid for them, basically, for a second-hand board as well. And I mean, you know, if you're at that stage where you'll really start, you've tried a bit of whatever surfing, and you want to get something yourself, and you're a bigger person, like you say, that's absolutely brilliant. Like cost-wise as well, you know. It's
that's
on a par
not, you know,
with,
that's not a lot of money to get into a new hobby, is it? You know. So what about wetsuits then? Is there any kind of wetsuit brands that you kind of use or would recommend?
Yeah, so I started on with XL, and I think they're, as far as I know, they're a Hawaiian brand, and I just found they fit me better than the other brands in the shoulders. But then recently I've moved to O'Neill just because of the stretch, really. I've never felt such a flexible wetsuit, and that's a big thing for me. Before it was more flexibility would take slightly more kind of precedent than warmth. Now, last few years, I'm starting to go the other way actually, and starting to feel the cold a bit more. But flex still for me is really important, and having that fit in my shoulders has been a really big thing. But what I'd really like to do is, and I've tried one before, is I know a few different brands globally do custom fit wetsuits, but snug wetsuits. They're based in Cornwall. Mm-hmm. I'd really like to kind of approach those guys and kind of do something with them. But yeah, so if I was recommending anything to anyone, if you're struggling to find something that fits, you can get custom wetsuits, and it makes much difference. And I mentioned my dad, Steve. He's a kind of stocky guy as well, and he's had custom wetsuits from those as well, because it can make a big difference just to paddling and stuff, especially if you're in a winter suit. If you're in a suit that isn't fitting properly, it's either going to flush or you're not going to be able to paddle properly.
Yeah, it's going to restrict your movement.
I know Chris from the Logfin Co. He's just had one made by, I think it's Figure Wetsuits or something like that. And it's a girl that makes them all herself. I think she's based in Cornwall as well. But yeah, he said and he's not like a big guy or anything, but like he's just had a custom wetsuit made, and he said the thing's absolutely incredible. He said it's such a difference having it made. Well, it's like your board, isn't it? Having a custom board made to what you want, and having a custom wetsuit to what you want. It's going to be that much better.
I'm going to be skint if I'm going to have to start paying for custom wetsuits as well.
But like you were saying, like O'Neill wetsuits, I've had O'Neill wetsuits for years, and I swear by the things. I think they're absolutely brilliant. And the newest one I got it's got the built-in hood, which I've said before, I did regret doing that. I wish I'd just bought one without the hood and used that. I've got a rip curl like rash vest with a hood built into it, which is like super warm as well. But like my last O'Neill, I had it so long that I think I bought it when I was like 20. And I went on holiday
anymore.
I went on holiday with my wife and kids. Like it must have been about 10 years ago or something like that. And I tried to put this wetsuit on. They're like, "Why's your head gone purple?"
Oh, they do my nuts. What they do my head in those the built-in ones. I've only owned one wetsuit with a built-in hood, and they just drive me nuts, because I very rarely wear a hood anyway, because I just find them quite annoying. But if you've got it down, it's just all behind you there and behind your neck and in the way. And if you've got it up, I find it really restrictive. So I'm just one of those people that hates hoods, and I'm the one in the water in the November or January or something, and the only one without a hood, and everyone's kind of, "What are you doing? You're not cold." I'm like, "No, I hate hoods."
I was finding they choke me out as well a bit.
They do those like weird skull cap things now as well, don't they? With like the chin strap.
Yeah, that's what I use.
On the top of your head. Yeah, how'd you find those?
Yeah, so I've only just started last winter was the first time I wore it, and it's better. It's better, definitely. It's still a bit weird, and it doesn't. Yeah, you don't feel it on the top. There's a bit of flush in the side, and I find it weird around the ears, and everything goes quiet when I duck dive and stuff. When I come back up, I just hate hoods basically. So But I haven't been in. Have you guys been in the water? I haven't been in for probably a good few weeks now, so I don't know whether I still need a hood or not.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, we've had, so at the time of recording, we just keep this onshore wind all the time.
Yeah.
So I think it's been about, what's it been now? Like coming up 5 weeks since I've been in last.
Yeah. And
but at the time of recording,
pretty close to that for me.
This Sunday looks pretty good, what I can see. So on next week looks amazing. I'm just working. But on Sunday, you're not. Yeah. Tuesday looks amazing. I know we're like how many days away are we from Tuesday at the moment, so I know it can change. But Sunday looks good, so I think we might try and head down Sunday maybe.
I went to look today and couldn't find the motivation. I looked at putts; it was just a bit south in the wind, but I just looked at it and I was like, "Oh no, it's just." Even when it looks bad from the top of putts, but it's going to be bad.
When it looks good from the top of putts, but it's going to be bad.
Yeah, I know, exactly, yeah. My wife, every time I come home, I'm like, "Oh," she's like, "Where did you go?" Putts, why did you go there? Every time you go there, you have a bad...
My wife says the same thing. She goes, but she doesn't call it by name. She just goes, "Oh, you're not going to that horrible beach, are you?"
Yeah.
You still go there, though.
Just idiots.
Well, I have maybe 1 in 10 or something. There's always that glimmer of hope. This is going to be that good one.
Yeah. Well, it's protected slightly, isn't it, from that kind of southerly wind?
Yeah.
And
I think you say that. I think we've had one good surf at Putsborough.
Yeah, I mean, I've caught the biggest wave I ever caught there. I mean, I was absolutely terrified, and that was the only wave I caught on that day, and it totally smashed me in the face when it closed out and stuff. But I was so happy I got that. But I think I was very lucky that day. That could have easily gone bad.
Yeah, literally.
Because I've also equally had my
I
my
can't
longest.
tell you the amount of times I've nearly actually shat myself at Putsborough.
Well, we recorded a podcast, an episode about Putsborough surf back in, what was it, like November, and our friend Dan came with us, and he broke his toe walking down to the beach. That's how dangerous Putsborough is. Didn't even get in the water, and he's injured.
Yeah, where do you guys mostly surf? Saunton, don't you, when you come down, or Westwood Ho?
Yeah, Saunton or Westwood Ho. Depends. Even though Westwood Ho's further, it's actually quicker on the roads because you haven't got to go all through the back of everywhere and everything.
Yeah, because Braunton can be clogged up a lot of the time, can't it?
So we go Westwood Ho or Saunton, and then if it's too windy, we go Puts or. Like every now and then, depends who we got coming with us. Sometimes we even go to Woolacombe, like if we feel like.
We had a couple of nice sunset sessions at Croyd.
Yeah, so it's normally around that sort of area. Like you should just name every surf spot. All of them are on Magic Seaweed. Let's not talk about Magic Seaweed. Lane's a bit angry about Magic Seaweed.
Yeah, I'm a bit angry about Magic
the cameras.
Seaweed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just getting worse. Not getting better, is it?
I noticed if you go on Surfline, you get like I think you get a certain amount of goes a day where you can view the cameras there. So I've been using that for
See, we've been saying because we had the guy from Lazy Surfer app, and once you log a spot on there, you don't even have to log a session. But if you put a spot, you can then see the forecast on there as well. But the difference, I was chatting to someone the other day, and they were saying, well, Magic Seaweed and Surfline said it was this. Lazy Surfer app said it was this, and it was actually what Lazy Surfer app was. And I was like, well, what's the difference then? And apparently the forecast on Magic Seaweed and Surfline is based on the forecast. It's a prediction, whereas the Lazy Surfer app runs in real time. So you're getting real time data off like the buoys.
Right. Oh, okay.
So it's more, and then once you log more sessions, it starts to know what you like, and the AI learns what you like, and you sort of, it will say, hey, this is your session. This is what you like surfing, and go that way. So I've been using it, but I need to start using it more. I need to fucking surf more. That's what I need to do.
That's the problem, isn't it? It's this bloody wind at the moment. I can't. Yeah, I can't wait till Sunday. I hope it's what they say it is.
Well, when this one comes out, we would have had, if the forecasts are right, some surf by then.
Okay, so we can then say next time whether they were right or not.
Yeah,
I think we all know it's going to be Putsborough, and we're going to have a rubbish time anyway, aren't we? It's guaranteed. I find finding the time as well. Haven't one of you just had a kid as well? I got one on the way.
That's me. Right? So she's now, for time of recording, she's 5 weeks. So
congratulations.
No sleep. No. Thanks very much. Yeah, no sleep at all, of course. But when she was born, the week that she was born, there was surf, and because I was off on paternity leave, I managed to get away.
Your style.
Well, we all went.
Is that bit going to be edited out?
It was, just like,
I was late for the labour.
So what happened was, I said to my partner, I said, should we just take her out for the day? Just like a nice day out. Yeah, where do you want to go?
Sorted.
Yeah. And she goes, is the cafe open this time of year? So it was in January. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it is. Got there. Anyway, cafe was shut. And it with the weather is okay, but it's January and it's cold. I'm like, I'm really
brand new baby.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. What should we do? And she's like, why don't you just go in and see me come all this way? I'm like, yes, see you in an hour.
Oh, nice. You got a good
I managed to get a couple of waves and come back out. I just felt guilty the whole time, but I still went in.
It's just hard to find the time, isn't it? Because I'm like with the kids and running the business. I'm a teacher.
Really? What do you teach?
Band, Bideford.
Right. Okay. What do you teach?
Design technology.
Oh, nice.
Right.
So a bit of my design background has gone into kind of some of the stuff I'm doing
board
with
design,
my brand and stuff. I'm in a band as well, and it's just there's so many different things I'm juggling. It's just sometimes, surfing it still kind of is number one priority, but there's so much stuff that gets in the way, and it's just
that's the problem. But when the forecast is there, you kind of got to go, haven't you? I know.
Yeah, I've got a really supportive wife as well. She knows that if it's on, that's kind of I'm allowed to drop everything else.
Yeah. Does she surf as well?
No, she doesn't. She tried to get into it a bit, but she was kind of a fair weather summer surfer, and
I'm turning into one of those.
It's better if the wife isn't into it as well, because then, you got kids. If you both want to surf, one of you's got to take it in turns.
Yeah, I've got mates like that as well. They both surf, and they have to kind of just tag team it and stuff.
Yeah.
So, what's the future for big guy boards?
So like I say, the main mission really is to make surfing more inclusive, and I started off with heavier surfers. We've slowly realised that kind of also encompasses a big wider range of people, but I want to kind of keep expanding and focus more on different people that might not fit into the current niche. So whether that's specific disabilities or anything else that is at the moment not as easy, or not, people that don't find surfing as accessible, just accessible. I want to make it more accessible for as many people as I can, basically. So, I'm just at the point. I've only just started the shop. It's been going probably a year now. It started properly just after COVID. That's when I really kind of went with it. So all my focus lately has been just getting the shop up and running and learning how to do that, teaching myself how to run a business, basically. So once I kind of get my feet with that, like I said, I just want to open it up and look at different areas really that I can help people out with and get people surfing.
That's great. I think it's really great what you're doing, and because it is an area that's forgotten about, I think, in the surfing industry.
Yeah.
So it's great that there's someone out there that's doing that.
So where can people find you online if they want to get hold of you, your YouTube and your website and everything?
Yeah, so we've got a YouTube channel. Just search Big Guy Boards on YouTube. That's more surfing advice, surfboard reviews, more high volume surfboards. I've got an online shop, bigguyboards.com, and that's obviously more niche kind of surfing products. But also, one thing I didn't mention, it's not just appealing to heavier surfers, or a lot of people of average size actually want to ride higher volume boards as well. So a lot of our customers for the surfboards are that. So if you head to bigguyboards.com, you can see a lot of our products there. I'm just starting to kind of try a big push on Instagram. It's something that I've not really done before, so I'm just trying to boost that and trying to get regular posts, and that's a kind of almost a semi behind the scenes. You see a lot of what's going on there as well. So I think that's, I don't know whatever the tag thing or whatever you call it. It's Big Guy. If you search Big Guy Boards, it will come up basically. And we've got a Facebook group as well. So that's more of a community. That's not about me. That's about just the whole community coming together and giving each other advice. And that's Big Guy Boards Forum, which is a Facebook group.
Brilliant.
Cool.
I just wanted to finally add, I love what you guys are doing. I love the fact that it's I love the fact that it's, a lot of the podcasts, a lot of the stuff you see, it's geared towards the pros, but what you're doing, it's more kind of looking at, what almost most of the surfing population in the UK is going to be, is what you guys are talking about, and the guests you have and the kind of stuff you chat about. It's really good, and I love what you're doing. So
I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You might change your mind next week when we got Kelly Slater on.
Oh, we need to. Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, he is amazing. Now that comp, wasn't it, in the competition of Pipe Masters? If you saw that, I was also going to say as well, guys, when you're down, we need to hook up for surf. Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Give me a message when you're down, and we'll go. And you can try some of the boards out if you want to try any of the boards.
I would absolutely love to try that shorter board. Like you said, you wanted to try shorter boards to see if you could do it. I mean, that's why I would want to try one. I just know that I can't do the others, but how you described that, the Mr. Motivator, I think, I might be able to do that one, which should, so I'd love to give that a go.
Yeah, you won't. I've seen him stand up on a longboard. He can barely stand up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Thanks for that, Scott. Lovely guy.
Well, you never say that about people.
Do you know what made him even more lovely? Was the compliment he paid us at the end.
Yeah, no, it was really nice of him, actually.
It was nice,
Yeah, I like the fact that he got what we are trying to do, you know, like we've said from the start, we're not the best surfers out there. We're not even the average surfers out there, really. And, you know, we just want to be inclusive. We're no experts, and we're speaking to people who are experts in certain fields of surfing and know more than us. So, you know, we're learning and everyone else is learning.
Yeah, I do really like his whole vibe with trying to get as many people in the water as possible, you know, like trying to be totally inclusive.
Yeah.
And, to focus on an area for heavier people with injuries, older people, and he was saying, like, even people who don't have any of those things are just struggling with surfing in general. Like this higher volume boards, like as
for a beginner, that would be like, imagine beginning to surf and you had a massive, like basically like a boat, you know, a big volume board. The likelihood of getting enjoyment out of it that first time surfing and you catching the surfing bug then, fully,
is
that
great,
you can go on a big board and you could stand up straight away.
Yeah,
you know, it'd just be,
and
brilliant.
then also to offer shorter boards with more volume. So surely that'll make you progress to a shorter board even quicker.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you go from a longboard, moving down the sizes and the volumes. Because at the moment, the kind of drop in volume is huge, isn't it? You know, so from like a longboard to a shorter board.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
go and check him out at bigguyboards.com. And as he said, he's got a YouTube channel and he's on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Yeah, his YouTube channel is really good, actually. He's got lots of information on there and like board reviews and stuff. And so some of the boards that we were mentioning on that episode, he's reviewed on that, and he's a good surfer.
And if you didn't get the Mr. Motivator reference in that, if you're too young, Mr. Motivator was a guy on TV in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
And literally
Morning TV
when like mums used to do their workout routine before they took the kids to school and started their day. That was Mr. Motivator. Look him up, you'll have a laugh. Something you touched on as well, magic seaweed.
What is wrong with them? I mean,
what, just magic seaweed?
Yeah, I mean, what annoys me is the only thing that they were good at was providing access to cameras, and now they've taken that away. You know, but
their surf forecast is really accurate.
They're pretty much useless now. They've done that. Like, what are they doing? Like, and at a time when everybody's bills are going up and stuff, that they then want you to pay to have access to the cameras. I think that's what's annoyed me more than anything. It's just it's timed really badly.
What's annoyed you is anything you've got to pay for.
Well, yeah. I am tight, yes. I don't want to pay for cameras. Yeah, well, you know, I'm not the only one that gets annoyed. Like, I know we've had a rant at Magic Seaweed, so this is going to be a bit of a ranting episode. Both sides of it. You have something that's annoyed you as well.
No, I have something that fucked me off completely, which was... It's not even to do with me, like, or us, or anything, but
it has happened to us,
right? So yeah, no, it was an Instagram thing where, like, you see people, you get it all the time, like people follow and then they unfollow you, like, which happens, fair enough. But it was, I noticed something on Chris from the Logfin Co, and I noticed he'd given someone a fin who was supposed to be supporting them, and they'd unfollowed him.
So the deal was, here's one of my fins.
You promote it, and me.
Promote it, which is what people do when they're starting a company and stuff. They give out free stuff and get kind of influencers or whatever to promote it.
Yeah.
And then that person unfollowed him after they received the fin.
Yes.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Yes.
I mean, why?
It made me fucking raging to the point I very nearly sent them a message, but
that's why. So we've been connecting with Chris, haven't we, and chatting to him, and he's a super lovely guy.
Yeah,
and
I think that's the problem, right? He's such a nice guy. Like, after, like, we've kept in contact after we had him on the show, and I speak to him more or less daily now as well, and, like, you know, he's such a nice guy, and he'll do anything for anybody. And he's gone out of his way to say to someone, "Hey, I think you can really progress by using one of these fins.
Yeah.
I will send you one,
and they're not
if
cheap
you like
either.
it,
They're knocking on like 80 to 100 quid.
yeah, if
So
you
that's out
like
of his
it,
own pocket.
yeah, if you like it, you know, you use it, and you know, promote me on where you got it from, which is fair enough. Which is what happens on Instagram, you know, and what happens throughout social media stuff, and everyone knows that. But for someone to receive something and then unfollow someone, just
and then not promote it as well.
It's those things of people that follow loads of people and then unfollow them to try and make themselves look popular.
Yeah, yeah.
And you don't. You just look like a.
You got to beep that. I hope there's a beep after this.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what winds me up.
Why we're talking this, Pete's actually rocking backwards and forwards.
It just really winds me up. Just like I don't even care. Like, it's not the fact. Like, if you want to follow and unfollow people and play that game, whatever. Like, we follow people. Like if people start having a conversation, normally I'll follow them. Like, we get so like
everybody that comes on the show. We follow. To be honest, it's just a click of a button, and it's only a number. Who cares? Who cares if you're being followed by 200 people and you're following 3,000? You know, like maybe it would make somebody not follow that person. But when I look on Instagram and we end up following people, it's because I'm genuinely interested. I don't care what the numbers. I don't even look at the numbers.
Yeah,
I look at the bio, if they've been on the show, if they're connected with anybody that's been on the show. You know, a few of their pictures, think, oh, they're cool. Follow. Because really, what does it fucking matter?
That's it. It just really fucking winds me up. Like someone would like, I don't know. It's not narcissist. It's fucking egotistical.
Yeah.
It's just we need to change the subject and move on because it's just I'm just gonna explode and go into a rant about everything that irritates me, and nobody wants to listen to that podcast.
No. Right. Well, that's the end of the show. I hope you had a nice time.
Well, Scott was good, but we went off on one afterwards.
Yeah, we just complained.
Yeah, just moaning about shit.
Do you know why? It's because we haven't been in the water for like 5 weeks.
Longer.
That's what it is, yeah. But anyway, Scott was great. Go and check him out. Super lovely guy. And again, one of those surfers that are starting something in the surfing industry, you know, and it's like they found an issue they want to tackle. And he's doing it, you know, whilst having a family, working a full-time job and being a surfer, and he's still, you know, doing his passion, which is great.
Yeah, so if you do want to support the show, you can go to the website, support the show page. You can go and buy me a coffee. Might put some more rants like this on there, actually.
Don't put people off.
No, go to the support the show page and you can find Buy Me a Coffee, Book the Wave, loads of ways to support the show. And don't forget to use the Northcore discount UK Surf Show 2022. So that's UK Surf Show, all capitals, all one word, and the numbers 2022 afterwards. That'll get you 15% off anything you order from Northcore, and that is valid till the end of March.
Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed today's show. Just remember to go over to iTunes and leave a review, and that really helps us as well. So,
yeah. Sorry about the ranting. Next week, normal service shall resume.
Yes. So we'll calm down by then. Hope you go.
Maybe.
Hopefully, go surfing on Sunday, so we'll be calm.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Love you. Bye.
Cheers.